Hello. Today I actually want to talk about an interesting subject. It's about how I actually started my journaling craze and when it started. And this book here is one of the very first journals that I ever started. And this was the beginning of the whole entire journal craze for me. And today is the day that I actually did start really journaling. So I wanted to talk about this book and get into a little bit of the history behind how I became a fan of journaling. So this book, I covered it in some scrapbook paper and I glazed it with sparkly gel medium. And here's the front, here's the back. I did this when I was pretty young, and basically what happened is one day my brother handed me a notebook like this one, which is really beat up. This is my second journal that I did and it needs fixing. But anyway, my brother handed me a notebook like this with this black rough stuff one day, and he said, "Here, you want a notebook?" And I said, "Well, what am I supposed to do with it?" And he said, "I don't know, start a journal or something." So that was the very beginning where I thought, journal. What is a journal? How do I start a journal? What do I do about that? It sounds kind of interesting. So I took this book, and then I thought, this is nice, but I don't know how to journal. And for many years, I kind of just didn't know what to do. And I was trying to find books on journaling and stuff like that, and I just was overthinking it and all that. And during that time, this notebook was at first being used for filling it with, sketches, drawings, things that I did for when I was bored. And I am going to show you those. So here's the inside. Oops. Uh-oh. Well, there's an accident. But here's the inside, and I started off with a big craze of calligraphy pen drawings as a little kid. And I was probably around, I think, 12 when I was doing all this stuff. So I did a lot of these drawings in the first part of the book. And yeah, it's a lot of just silly kids art and practice. And kind of did fashion design, drew deers. I was doing a lot of fashion design for my American Girl dolls at the time, using Creole colored pencils and all that. I was doing all kinds of things in it and just doing random sketching, stuff like that, at the age of 12. I kind of have always had a tendency to only draw on one page, not the other side, because I left it for writing or whatever, and I just never did it. So, yeah. Drew a lot of different strange little things. Pumpkin pictures, and teddy bears, fairies. I was big on fairies. Fish and birds, and strange things like that. Just silly stuff, okay? So that was the last page. And then on June 12th of 2007, I was, an early 13-year-old. And this is when I actually started my journal. This was when I decided to actually give it a try. And my mom encouraged me and wished that she could have encouraged me sooner in my life to start journaling. But I started at the age of 13, and I started to just put in pictures and add in lots of writing, and write about random things, everyday life things, like raising butterflies, and writing about holidays and stuff. And at the time I didn't really know how to do paragraphs, so it's all clumped together, and I kind of just blocked off new areas. And yeah, that's a really, really big mess that could give you a headache if you tried. But basically, yeah, I just kind of went with it, and this was my beginning experience of journaling, and I put in tea bags, and I drew pictures and colored them with crayons, and I even encouraged other friends to draw in the book, and so I could keep imagery of their style of art with me. And I had a thing for borders. I continued doing borders a lot. And here's a picture, and I talked about the food I ate, and also had some of my family members draw pictures like this butterfly here. And yeah, I drew a lot of little tiny icon images when first starting out my journal, and it went from being print to being cursive in no time. And I added some extra things with hand-drawn wax seal, and inside I kept a card and also a party invitation from that year, and I kept them in the book so that I knew what happened there. And then I just kept going, and I like to draw in lots of different colors. I had a tendency to do that. I wrote in different colors a lot, and usually I like to match. And there again, I had somebody draw in my book to keep a style of their artwork, and I did some collage here. This was actually from a friend's birthday party, and I took their wrapping paper and made a collage with it. And I drew this flower, let my sister draw this one, I drew the bugs, and I'd let my brother draw in the book and had them sign their names and whatnot. And I put my fingerprints after touching berries in there and went to the park. And spoke about tea over here. Yeah, little icons like that. I even hid some writing with paper, but I can still see what the message is by holding it up to the light. And a whole lot of writing. Lots and lots of writing. And then this picture, actually, this was a funny memory. I saved this picture because my mom accidentally threw it out, and that disappointed me, so I took it, cut it out of the page, and then glued it in here to preserve it. And these things, more stuff, lots and lots of writing, different colors too. And here's another border thing that I made to indicate weather for the day, and lots of blocked off areas. And yeah, the colors I chose to write in usually had to do with the subject I was writing about. So sparkly green for butterflies, and kind of what I was doing. I was still raising butterflies. We were having fun with that one. More stuff here. Oh, day of learning how to make kimchi. More writing. A trip to Ohio, and I put a picture of the mountains, of somewhere, but they reminded me of the ones I saw in Ohio or West Virginia. They have this stuff, more icons, more text, and yeah, made a little picture, use colored pencil. Saved labels from food restaurants that wrapped around the fork, and then there's this United Dairies thing, and I saved one of the napkins, actually. It's a really tiny little napkin from United Dairy Farms, and I slipped that inside the ice cream wrapper for fun, so that I could take it out and read whenever I wanted to. And yeah, I wrote about ice cream that I ate, and wrote about Beeman's gum. I also did this. I used like oil pastels, and these are leaves from Ohio, and I stuck those in there because it was autumn when we were there. So whole lot of writing. And then I also had cases where I kept menus, and I happened to circle the dish that I ate from that restaurant. I wrote about making this really weird cake at a friend's house, and I drew a picture of it. And I made more oil pastel imagery with some foil leaves from candy wrappers. And to keep that thing from smudging, I actually had to put contact paper over it, I remember. Then there's this little spot here I did, and I was talking about, I talked about a costume that was being made, and I drew a little picture of it on this page, and I was playing and kept some pieces to pretend they basically miniature pattern pieces. I wanted to remember the pattern by that, and I just did that for fun and made an envelope to carry it in and just stuck it in there and did lots of little silly things like that. And then here's some flowers, lots of writing. I did really elaborate pictures one day when I was super bored. So there's a picture for Thanksgiving, and then there's this weird picture of an alien with lava lamp power generators on their ship. Yeah, I kind of thought that was fun, and I remember when I was dreaming about that. And here's more writing, and some collage stuff for Christmas, and some butterflies, more tea time stuff. Oh yeah, I had help making this, but I had saved postcards that I got while in Ohio, and I kept the images of those, and then I added a letter and drew some corn on it to tell what they were about. And those go back in there, and I remember I had to have help making this when I was younger because I didn't know exactly how to make pockets on my own. And yeah, so I put corn on that. And then we'll get into other things using textile stuff. And more decorations, and I did a little collage out of some wrapping paper during Christmas time. I still think it's cool. And yeah, made these pretty borders. Wrote about soap, playing Uno. And then we get into Valentine's Day stuff. Lots and lots and lots of writing. Swirlies, sparklies. Do a little picture here. Another little picture there. Do a little collage and stuff down there. And did some flowers and some rain. And here's where I went crazy with hearts for Valentine's Day, and then I did this really big, pretty collage thing on my page. And I wrote basically just a thing about Cupid on here, and it was actually part of a school project, something I just needed to write, so I chose the subject of Cupid because it was Valentine's Day, and basically wrote the stuff out on parchment paper using a calligraphy pen for fanciness. And then I just decided to stick it in the book along with a picture of Cupid, or at least the representation of him. And I had my friend make a Valentine's Day card for fun so that I could keep memory of her, and I stuck that in here. And then I wrote about some other stuff and drew some flowers, and then that's the end of the book. And I did hand drawing of the borders, added some stickers and stuff like that, and made it pretty when I was all finished making this journal. So that was basically the first journal I started, and I carried on this hobby ever since. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about that and basically make it known that my brother is actually the reason why I started journaling in the first place. My mom helped encourage me, and it just lasted from there, and I've gone through lots of different processes and different styles of books, and wanted to introduce that. So, thanks for watching.